Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. We are going to go into an in-depth discussion today about Spirit Beasts. Spirit Beasts have been in the game for more than 5 months now, and they bring a very interesting dynamic and perspective into the game. It's unfortunate that we don't see more use of them other than a very small group of players that can actually afford them. I will address that particular issue in this video near the end. But free-to-plays, please don't run away, because understanding the mechanics of how these pets work will also help you in fair play arena. It'll help you in terms of how to think about going up against players that may have a couple of pets here and there. So stick around for the entire video, please. So I will also say that I am trying to engage with the player base a little bit more. I am on the Eastern time zone, so right after reset, you can try to find me in World Chat. I am on server 71 or server 108, and the guild will be Once Wizard or Once Hope. And when you check my profile, remember to give me a thumbs up. And by looking at the tag, you should be able to know that it's authentically me. Now, getting into the main video here, what I'll say about pets is the most important thing, I think, is to understand when their abilities are triggered. And for all pets with 0 star to 4 star, they will be triggering their ability every 11 turns. And when you hit 5 stars, you notice the spirit energy reaches 1,000, and that's when every 10 turns they will be triggering their ability. Now, there will also be equipment that potentially changes how soon they're able to activate, but for the most part, that has only been introduced on the latest pet so far, the Starry Manta Ray. So with that, I just want to maybe quickly take an opportunity to kind of show that. So let's just go into any battle here. Probably shouldn't have done that, but anyways, we'll just use a real attempt here. But you can see everything goes off of the total turn. So every time when the total turn goes up, the beast gains energy, and it doesn't matter if the enemy is taking turns or the boss is taking turns, or in PvP, the enemy as a whole. So here you can see turn 11. Right after the end of this turn is when we will see the trigger, and the next time it will be on turn 22. So quickly go through that just a little bit. And this becomes increasingly important, right? So for example, some of the boss require you to strip a buff they put up. So if you're relying on the pet to remove that buff, or they land a debuff on you and you're requiring to cleanse it, it is really important to try to speed tune your entire team, just so that when the next turn hits, you're triggering it. So here you can see we're on turn 22, and our beast is about to go right after at the end of 22. The next time will be 33, so on and so forth. This means, the maximum number of times the triggers will be 27 times in your entire battle for spirit beasts that are less than 5 stars, and it'll be exactly 30 times for beasts that have 5 star. Now, barring the fact that there are some ways to increase the number of turns the pets do. Okay, going back into the pets. This part of the video, then we will go into what they all do, and I think everyone's very familiar with the Briar Phantom because we see plenty of it in PvP, PvE lineup. It is probably the most versatile pet in the game, and just like all heroes, right? What I find is, it's really hard to power creep a really solid support, but it's the DPS that seems to, get power crept or a different function comes in. But so far, we only have 7 legendary pets. I'm not going to go into the epic pets or the elite pets, and it's not worth it to level them up because it does take a lot of resources to level them up. It gets increasingly expensive. For example, here, I probably have enough resources to quickly level it up to 30, and it wouldn't take a lot of resources. Oh, okay, well, that surprised me. It took more than I thought to even get to 23, but it gets even more expensive later on as you level out the pet. It takes quite a bit to max a pet out, so just keep that in mind. It's not only enough to level them up, you get copies of them, but you actually have to level them up to really fully benefit, because they actually scale off of the attack stat they have from an ability standpoint. So from the other pets, so we all know Briar Phantom, right? We have shields. So if we think about the first 3 stars, you're basically every 11 turns, your entire team gets an extra shield. But if we think about even at 3 stars, right? 3 star is going to be around 30k HP or so, right? I think so, just a little bit less than this. Yeah, so about 30k HP. 30k HP, right? We look at the skills, right? 30k HP. We're going to be looking at 505 times the multiplier. So 150k shield HP. So 250k shield. So this is already a decent sized shield. This is probably equivalent to, a 50% shield compared to most heroes. So even at 3 stars, this is quite noticeable in terms of the amount of shielding you get compared to other heroes that can provide a shield. Now, however, when we look at the amount of damage they do, right? Let's say, my giant dragon here. Let's go to equivalent of a 3 star, just so that we kind of get a sense of, what kind of damage we're looking at. So here is 200% of the attack, right? Plus this fixed amount, and this gets done to the enemy. And then if they have any sort of dot, then take additional poison damage for 1 time, and it can be triggered up to 8 times. We're gonna, showcase this just shortly after in terms of, what it actually looks like. And I think in Fair Arena, you can actually, I know a lot of us just skipping Fair Arena, but this is a good opportunity to actually see how the pets actually interact and make an impact on the game. Now, the damage reduction will always apply to these pets, but from a scaling perspective, the pet damage is pretty easily calculated. So, yeah, it is somewhat of a relevant damage, but it's not to a point where the pet is completely destroying the enemy. But it is not negligible damage for certain. Definitely level 60 pets you see in Fair Arena, where a pet is going to be killing the entire team if it's not properly set up for. Okay, so let's talk about the other pets in terms of where, in order of where I think is most impactful to least impactful. The next most impactful pet, which we have seen, at least in the current meta right now, is the Fiery Phoenix. The Fiery Phoenix is seen on the HP burn boss extensively, and on any PvE team where you want to be using HP burn. The key reason behind that is, if we look at the skills, not only it increases the HP of the allies that do HP burn damage, but they also get speed up, right? And at this point, at 3 stars, it gives 3 different allies. At 4 stars, it's still 3, but at 5, it goes to all 5 allies that deals the highest damage. And then they can start gaining speed up 2, and then speed up 2 as well at 5 stars. So this is very impactful, given that there isn't an HP burn hero that can give speed up. This basically is what allows players to clear stage 5 right now on the Sages of 7 Luli. So that's why Fiery Phoenix has been prioritized. However, I feel like if we do get a hero that can grant those abilities with a HP burn tag, maybe the value of Fiery Phoenix will go down a little bit. I think the new hero, the new pet, is a real contender for what is available for the next best pet, because Starry Meta Ray could be very impactful in PvP. It's just by the time it gets impactful, it's going to be very costly. So when we look at the skills, it basically reduces the enemy turn meters in a PvP situation. If it's a boss, increase your own turn meter. And not only it reduces the effectiveness of the enemy's ability to gain turn meter, it can, at 4 stars or higher, it's starting to inflict action lock, which prevents like 2 of their heroes to not move at all for 2 combat battle turns. Now, what's even more impactful is, I'll show here, these different pets also have somewhat of a echo. It's sort of like heroes with echo that actually further changes their ability. So you can see yesterday I actually went ahead and got myself a copy just so that I can see this. So here's the pet, but you also have the choice of not picking the pet to actually get copies of the Divinity Stone. And the Divinity Stone can be thought of as an echo for the pet. And here you can see that When allies are inflicting control effects or when allies inflict turn meter reduction effect, both of them can be triggered simultaneously, and the effects can be double the first time. And so what this means is if this is actually maxed out, I can gain 60% energy onto the pet during my ally hero turn. So if you think about something like a Lydia, which is control effect, and then you Ascendo right after, because Ascendo is going to also get a turn meter from that. Ascendo is going to take 2 double turns. Doesn't matter who makes the following turn, it's going to be turn 4. So in this PvP situation, on the end of the 4th turn, your meta ray is going to go. This is all theory crafting, right? But it is super expensive theory crafting, because the cost of getting this to 5 stars and the cost of getting this to 5 star on combined, you really wait and take your time, it should take you about 900 USD. If you try to get it on this one single event right now, it will cost you anywhere between 1,500 upwards, 1,500 or more. I don't even think there's enough. Oh, I guess there is enough because there's 98 of them. But yeah, it's going to cost you between the 1,500 to 2,000 range to max that part out, and to have basically a pet that can actually combo with your turn meter pushing back in a PvP situation. But also the contradiction here is, if you're able to spend that much, there are better things to spend on in the game, and you probably don't have competition to a point where you need to be using this. And that is fundamentally, the issue with pets around the whole very small group of player base able to afford it, and that's why we're not seeing big enough of an impact in the game. Again, going back to Spear Beast, we'll cover that later on how we can potentially address that issue. Let's talk about the rest of the pets. So I talked about Briar Phantom, I talked about Phoenix, I talked about Starry Meta Ray. I think these are probably the 3 best pets right now. After that is a real toss-up between Shadow Gohawk and Icefield Ghost. Both of these are seen in both PvP and PvE use. For Shadow Gohawk, it is used on the burn boss, because what's really important is what this pet brings to the table. It actually provides a very nice cleanse. Even just a 1-star or 2-star copy will be really great, because it gets rid of debuff from all allies. And for teams that don't have a cleanse, this is really helpful. The faster your team is, or when you're cycling, you can cleanse these boss ideally. Now, when keeping in mind against in a PvE situation, if you want to be having your pet trigger every turn right after the boss, you want to time your entire team to be basically every 11 turns the boss move, every 11 turns the boss move, and that basically works really well for pet triggering to cleanse. Or here the Ice Field Ghost is all about stripping the buffs off the enemy, so that's really good for the bleed boss, where you want to be removing the Monkey King's circlet off of that one. So there, and also this can technically be used on the boss where you have to fight Moshi as well. So yeah, like these pets are really, really helpful, especially if your heroes don't provide the ability to cleanse or to strip in this case. And with the right speed tuning, you should be able to trigger these effects every single turn, which is really helpful. Now, in a PvP situation, both are also very helpful as well when you have a mirror matchup of 2 relatively tanky team, because they will definitely get their ability triggered, and being able to steal all of the enemy buffs, right? And then if they're attribute buffs, you can apply them to yourself. This is very impactful, not to mention, doing that extra damage onto the enemy team. But also here, Icefield Ghost, where you have the ability to strip the debuff from the enemy, and also extending their debuff. Now, if we actually use the specific, the Divinity Stone on them, the Icefield Ghost, I think, can prevent them even from getting buffs for a turn, up to 2 or 3, I think. So that is incredibly impactful in a PvP situation. But again, you won't run into that because so few players can afford such pets. Now, that really has to change if we want this content to be really enjoyed by the broader player base. So then here we got, you know, the last two. What's really nice about Miasma Giant Dragon is this is a pet that at least everybody can get, because when we fight the Purgatory of Seven Sins boss every week, we're able to get shards for it. So you can see this one is almost just finished 4-star. I'm working on the last star right now. And Fire Qinglin is also available for free for the first copy. What's nice, I think, you know, if we think about where they can be used, this synergizes really well, right, with the poison teams. Don't have to explain more. Once it's up, actually any sort of dot team synergizes really well with this. So I guess free-to-play players can increase their, you know, damage on bosses as long as they don't have a survivability issue. And for direct damage, you can use Fire Qinglin, especially at higher star levels. You can see that every time the pet moves, you're increasing the critical damage of all allies until the end of the battle. So this is a really nice stack up for turns. This stacking, I think, starts increasing the ally damage, I think, at 2 stars. So so let's talk about, you know, getting some of this stuff, right? First, let's go into equipment. I forgot to talk about equipment. So from an equipment perspective, the first slot is always about either increasing attack or some sort of burn damage, a specific type of damage, or it can be shield. The second slot, you will see a wide range of things. You have the ability to increase attack for your allies with the highest attack. You can increase if you gain shield. You can get the shield effect. You know, the shield effect gets increased. You can decrease the effective res, or you can you know, reduce the enemy dealt for 1 turn. And of course, this is less effective on boss. But what's important to understand is the first one basically is, you can think of it as like an attribute equipment. The second one is more of whenever the skill is casted, there's some sort of effect. And the last one is sort of like it's like an echo for them, and it can fundamentally change how particular abilities work or enhance it greatly. So that's how you can think about, you know, how the equipment slots work. And what's nice is you can remove them and move it around between your main pets. Okay, so we went through equipment, went through all the pets. You kind of got a sense of the tier structure. You kind of know which pets to prioritize, where to use them. I think this is part in the video where I kind of talk about, you know, currently how we actually get all this stuff, right? On the equipment side, you can see on crafts in the shard bags, we can get them from the Purgatory of Seven Sins. We'll go there in just a sec. But you can see, like, this is random spirit beast shard. This is saved up over quite a little bit of while. If you actually look at the odds, right? The odds of getting a legendary is 6%. And you can only get either the Briar Beast or Ice Field, or, you know, one of these 4 basic pets. So a lot of the newer pets, you really have to pay. And if you look at the odds, right? Out of 60, wow. 1 Qingling and 2 Miasma Dragon. Like what are the... Right, let's go over to the Purgatory of Seven Sins. I can hit 9.6 bill damage right now, I think, on it. Barely 9.6. So this is the tier I'm at. I think there's I don't even think there's more than 20 players right now can hit this tier group, right? I think maybe 1 person passed the 12 bill at this point, but that is very few number of shards. Very few number of shards that we get on a weekly basis, right? This will help us get Miasma Giant Dragon. So in 7 weeks, we usually get a pet, but that's like 2 months and a year to finish it. Fine. But if you're free to play, you're not going to be doing that much damage, and you can only get Ice Field and the Bambi pet, and it'll take you forever to get it. Okay, so that's a problem. They did try to increase, you know, give us. So this is where you can get all the equipment shards drops and whatnot, and they started to have a Spirit Beast coin. Now you make sure you claim this every day, but over here in your market, if you notice, the only thing you can really buy from a pet perspective is the Giant Dragon. And then if you look at the equipment side, it is very limiting in terms of what you can get. You can either get the shield one, or you can get the reduce effective rest. Both are the weaker of the two. Either reducing the damage the enemy does or increasing the attack of your highest attacking hero is far more impactful from a hollow crystal perspective. And finally here, control divinity stone. Right, this is sort of like extending debuff. So this is really for Fire Qinglin, and I guess the newest pet can in theory do that, but still, the Divinity Stone for the Meta Ray is much better than this one, so you wouldn't want to use this one either. Like, it's almost like in here, like the best thing it's actually most worth it to buy maybe is actually just the EXP, just because EXP sometimes is hard to get. So yeah, so the system itself really needs a little bit of revamp. Now we do know new content is coming, guild versus guild, and I really hope they take advantage of releasing new content and give free-to-play players an opportunity to use pets, because pet is very impactful in the game. Even the paying players, right? You guys see me play on the 108 account, and that one has a budget of $100 a week. But 95% of you, or even I would say 97, 98% of you are below that spending threshold. So, and when you're at that spending level, you're still just barely able to make by with getting limited heroes, and you will not be worrying about pets any point in time soon. So making content that's for less than 0.5% of the player population, or even 0.3% of the population, just isn't a good use of the effort. It's really great content. It's just a shame the price point is at a level that is really difficult for even the biggest whales to accept. So I do hope to see some changes around it. And here are some suggestions, and I think many people have suggested these already. So devs, if you ever catch your eyes on this video, so please look at it. And you have already implemented these great features elsewhere already. So just take a look at the Spirit Beast cultivation, right? We have this every single month now. And wouldn't it be great if we actually kept our progress from event to event? I know many players suggested that. Now, what that means is a free-to-play player can probably get 10 or 12 or so. That means if this event comes back once a month, that means it can at least get a pet through gems every 4 to 5 months. And that's not too far of a stretch, given the real power of pets are locked behind 4-star or 5-star, right? So I think as a free-to-play player, being able to get a pet every 4 to 5 months through this isn't that bad. The second thing is, I will say is, yes, in the battle order, it is great that we are able to get this chest, right? It'll be nice to see all of the other pets gradually added into here, just so that its ability to get some of the newer pets. But if there are ways for if we can maybe in the daily cyan, right, daily cyan somewhere to get another chest like that, just little things add up, right? You're already doing that with the stargazing event, or the starry. Yeah, there's a stargazing event once a month too, right? That's the one where you can get pet equipment. We're able to save the shards. So a free to play over a span of, I think, 10 months, or is it 8 to 10 months or so, you can actually get a limited hero box out of that, right? So these things that allow us to accumulate over time, I don't think it hurts the game's revenue or any way. It will just help the player base out a whole. So hopefully, this feedback is well received from that perspective. And of course, in new upgaming game content, it will be wonderful if we can start to see pets come into the play a little bit more. Just simply because pets are actually, I really think pets really change the gameplay quite a bit. I mean, like let's talk about some of the typical situation we run into right now. So let's just say I'm going up against Jiro here, right? And a really tough team. The main problem that we see with pets today is most PvP battles, like I said, the pets don't kick in until turn 10 or 11. 5-star pets kicking at turn 10 and turn 11 for pets are not at 5-star. So I'm gonna just pick one of my tankier teams here to go against him. But often what we end up seeing is in most lineup and battles, whether that be championship or where we have multiple pets involved, the outcomes of these battles are determined well before the pets could even trigger their ability. So that kind of defeats the purpose. And this is why, I think, having, we're seeing the hero side, right? Adding a lot more tankiness, and we're able to see battles drawn out a little bit more. Like here, if I don't put in the Bambi pet, like against some of my opponents, like on this turn, I would have already lost someone, or the Bambi pet would have already triggered one. Now, that was a really good opportunity. For example, if I had Ice Field Wolf at 5 stars, I could have, really locked down one of my enemy opponent, or the meta ray, right? Like to be able to allow me to get some extra turns, push the turn meter back on the enemy, to create that opening to be able to secure a kill. Like, I do believe that, it would be so much better for the game if we could start to see pets interacting in a lot of this content. It will really change up the dynamics in PvP, and it wouldn't be always just about, having the newest heroes, because pets will, make a difference in things. Right now, it's all just about, both sides having a Bambi and really tanking it out. If the heroes themselves can survive, right, this opens up the opportunity for us to put in pets like the Raven pet, to put in the Meta Ray pet, to put in the Ice Field Wolf pet, because it adds to the game. I think at this point in time, right, I wouldn't even recommend, like, let's just say, in the strongest PvP setups right now, would I pick Meta Ray over Bambi? I still wouldn't recommend it, even if it's fully maxed out, because the part I worry about is a lot of the hero, again, right? So for example, Lance is a common one. Lance is immune to CC, right? So when you try to CC it, it will actually get terror meter. The enemy still end up going. Like, I just feel like, and of course I don't have those pets, and of course I don't even know who has those pets right now. I think Klee might have gotten a copy, but I don't even know if Klee has, bought the divinity stones for it yet, right? So I will try to find players, and hopefully they'll be willing to, borrow or lend, so that I can share the content or get footage of it somewhere. But you can see, right? Like these battles are really drawn out because both sides has a Bambi, but other than Bambi, I would love to see more diversity in these fights, because I do believe having, Ice Wolf or the Wolf or the Raven, it would speed up this fight a lot more, because it will allow me to create openings more frequently by stripping all the buffs off my enemy. And it will make it more exciting and dynamic. It'll be a little bit more different, right? So people can be using these pets on different teams. And we do see that in Championship a little bit. I know that still sounds very whale-ish, and it's like for the smaller group of players, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I would love to just to see this being a lot more accessible, so we can all play with it a little bit more. I know it's in Fair Play Arena for us to interact with, but it just feels so different, because the Fair Play Arena, the hero stats are also not proportionally well scaled either. So it'll be great again, so more player base can really enjoy the content. I mean, if the devs are creating content, it's for people to enjoy, right? And why limit the content to just such a small, tiny portion of the player base? Anyways, hopefully you found this video helpful. Now you understand how pets work, how to time the abilities, and hopefully with this message we will see more positive changes around the pet mechanic. I really hope this will change. I think I've probably beaten this horse to death in the last 10 minutes. Around how to fix this thing. So yeah, so hopefully you enjoy the video, and I do hope this tests the stand of time, and it helped you understand how the pets interact with the game and how to fully leverage it, right? Like in terms of PvE content, PvP. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Gandalf out.